It had been 2 years since everything in my life fell apart. 2 years since I discovered the betrayal that shattered my marriage, my trust, and my sense of safety in the home I thought was mine. 2 years since I realized the woman I loved, my wife, my partner, my confidant, had been unfaithful. When I first found out, I felt a storm of emotions: rage, heartbreak, disbelief, humiliation. Nights were the worst. Lying awake, I replayed the moments I had missed, the signs I had ignored, the nights I had spent trusting someone who had quietly destroyed the foundation of our life together. The divorce was messy, not because of arguments, not because of lawyers, but because of the betrayal itself. How do you untangle a life that was built on lies? How do you separate the memories you cherish from the person who tainted them? I left with nothing but the clothes I owned, a few personal belongings, and my resolve to rebuild my life. For 2 years, I did exactly that. I worked, I traveled, I learned to be content with solitude, with my own company. I didn't rush into another relationship. I wasn't bitter. I just wasn't ready to let someone else risk the trust I had lost. My son, though young at the time, was my anchor. His happiness and stability became my focus, the one constant in a world that had turned upside down. Then the invitation arrived. Our son was getting married. A joyful milestone, a day he had dreamed about for years, and I had been included in the celebrations. The same woman who had betrayed me, the mother of my child, was also invited. I hesitated at first. How could I walk into the room, into a wedding where she would be there, laughing, dressed in the elegance of someone who had moved on without remorse? The thought made my chest tighten, my stomach churn, and old wounds flare. But then I remembered my son. This day wasn't about me, about my heartbreak, about the betrayal that had once consumed me. This day was about him, and he deserved both of his parents being present in whatever capacity we could manage. I arrived early, parking in a quiet corner, watching the venue from a distance. Everything was perfect. Flowers arranged with precision, music softly playing, guests chatting and laughing. I saw her almost immediately, radiant in her dress, hair-styled, makeup flawless. She caught sight of me and gave a polite nod, no warmth, no lingering glance. I stayed in the background, taking a seat at the far end of the hall. Watching her interact with our son, I felt a pang of nostalgia and sorrow. Memories of family dinners, birthday celebrations, and long conversations flashed through my mind. But alongside them was the betrayal, the nights I cried alone, the trust I had given and that had been thrown aside. As the ceremony began, I focused on my son. He looked handsome, nervous, excited, everything a father could hope to see in his child on a day like this. I felt a swell of pride that eclipsed all other feelings. My pain was there, yes, simmering quietly beneath the surface, but it was nothing compared to the overwhelming love and joy I felt for him. Throughout the reception, I remained silent. I didn't approach her. I didn't engage in small talk with her friends. I simply observed, clapping at the speeches, smiling when my son and his new wife shared a dance, holding back tears when he thanked us both for the love and guidance we had provided. And in that silence, I realized something profound. Betrayal had marked me, yes, had left scars, but it hadn't destroyed me. I had survived, grown stronger, and learned to value my own worth. Walking into the room that day, surrounded by family and friends, I understood that life could move forward even after the deepest pain. She had her place in the room as the mother of my son. I had mine as the father. And the truth was, that was enough. We didn't need to reconcile or pretend the past hadn't happened. We didn't need to erase the hurt or deny the betrayal. We simply needed to coexist, to honor our son, and to acknowledge that life, in all its complexity, moves on. By the end of the evening, as the couple shared their first dance, I felt a quiet peace settle over me. I had walked into a room haunted by betrayal and emerged with clarity. The past had shaped me, yes, but it didn't define me. I had learned that forgiveness doesn't always mean forgetting, and love doesn't always require closeness. It can simply mean wishing well from a distance, honoring the connections that matter most. That day, I wasn't just a guest at my son's wedding. I was a man who had endured betrayal, heartbreak, and loss, and who had chosen to rise above it. I was a father who had prioritized his child's happiness over his own lingering pain. And I was someone who had reclaimed his dignity, silently but resolutely, amidst the very place where betrayal had once threatened to consume him. Walking out of that hall later that night, I felt a sense of closure I had never expected. Betrayal had marked the past, but it didn't dictate the future. I had survived it. I had lived through it. And in the end, I had walked into my son's wedding, not as a broken man, not as a victim, but as someone who had emerged stronger, wiser, and unshakably grounded in the love that truly mattered.